Welcome, everybody. Chuck Cook here with Waleed Nasser. Waleed, how are you today?
Doing good. How's it going?
Good. This is actually not our impact litigation. We're going to go back to our Cook Baxter tag today because we are here at Cook Baxter Immigration. Waleed's one of our wonderful, amazing attorneys who does lots of the litigation with us. And so we're excited to have him. And we got a couple topics that I wanted to address today, Waleed, as part of this. Now, just so you know, we're live on YouTube, the Twitter machine, LinkedIn, even believe it or not, as well as on Facebook. And
All
we'll
over
see
the
if there's
place.
any questions today. Sometimes I get questions, sometimes I don't. You never know. You never know. But what we really want to talk about is this whole Build Back Better plan. And this, they've been calling Plan C. So what is that? What is Plan C?
I guess it means
Well,
plan
it's
A and
obviously
B didn't
not
work
Plan
out.
A or B, right? Plan A was everybody gets a green card. You get a green card. You get a green card. Everybody gets a green card. And the parliamentarian took out her howitzer, shot it out of the sky. Plan B was, hey, we're going to change the registry date, and everybody gets a green card. And she got her howitzer out, blows it out of the sky. Then now we have Plan C. Plan C is kind of like a previously licked lollipop. I guess if you're hungry enough,
It's better than nothing.
So basically, if you've been here for 10 years, this is one component of it. If you've been here for 10 years continuously, which obviously means if you've been deported and came back, you don't qualify, you get a work card and you don't get deported for 10 years and you get paroled. Now, this is a big deal, Waleed, getting paroled, because unlike DACA, which just gives kids a work permit and then lets them travel on parole, this would be literally much similar to the parole in place that exists for military members, but automatic. So poof, you entered legally. Poof, you entered legally. Now that's really, really important. So the numbers I've seen has folks about 6.5 to 7 million people that would be eligible for this. And I'm just going to pull up the language here. So basically 6.5, 7 million people out of 10.5 million people. That means they think that about 60 to 70% of the undocumented population has been here for at least 10 years. I think that underestimates the number. I think it's closer to 8 million people that have been there that long. But some people have been able to regularize their status, so maybe they're not going to be in that. But let's say it's 6 million people. So what can 6 million people do who now have a legal entry, cannot be deported unless they violate the law? Of course, they'll be deported for that, and can work. What will happen? Well, one, first of all, it will solve a lot of the demand for workers that certain employers have. Maybe you want to call them less desirable jobs, etc. But keep in mind, I'm going to ask you this question. This is a yes or no question. Are most of the people that would be getting work permits already employed in the United States?
Yes.
Of course they are. Of course they are. So it's not like we're going to have all these extra employees running around. They become mobile. Which is a big deal. So employers that have been violating the law by letting people work without papers or fake papers will lose those employees, and they will go to, and typically at lower pay. And those people, this is Chuck's prediction, by the way. I'm not like a sociologist, but I am an immigration lawyer for 30 years. And, I did have a good sleep last night in my bed. So I think I can figure this out. They will probably change jobs to better jobs, the kind that employers can't fill today. And are still getting paid. So that's a big deal. So that's one thing that's going to happen. Two, how many of these people you think have U.S. citizen children?
A bunch.
Most all of them?
A bunch.
I'm going to guess 90%.
Mm-hmm.
How many are married to U.S. citizens? There's probably 500,000 that are married to U.S. citizens that can't easily adjust status. Right now they have to go through 3 years of rigmarole and pain in the butt waivers and leave the country and come back in, and it's just a nightmare process. Basically, if you have parole and you're married to a U.S. citizen, or you have a child over the age of 21, you will apply for a green card. I'm thinking probably at least 3 million people like that are today eligible for a green card that could adjust their status with a parole like that. So all of a sudden, you no longer have 10 million undocumented people. You got 6 or 7 at the most. And then the remaining 3 or 4 million of these parolees, their kids will become 20. Many of their kids will become 21 over the next 10 years. Or they'll get married to U.S. citizens. And bam, all of a sudden now you've got 3 or 4 million undocumented people. Now, if you can deal with border issues, which is something they need to deal with, I mean, you can substantially reduce the undocumented population just by this one change, this one little tweak in the law. Now, obviously, it would be better if people just apply for green cards. I mean, if they had Plan A, it would be better. But Plan C is a pretty good thing, and it's certainly better than nothing. Certainly better than nothing. Now, the other key part of this provision is really, really, really important. And by the way, if they do pass it, they would begin taking applications. I think it says May 1, 2022, but other provisions say 6 months. So let's say July 1, 2022. Now, obviously, Kareem, is the USCIS capable of handling 6 million applications today?
No. We learned that very clearly in October last year.
Just snort? Of course they're not. Of course they're not capable of doing that. So they do get $2.5 billion with a B. Their budget's only $3 billion, their normal budget. So they get $2, and they already, by the way, they already got like $1 billion in September. I don't know what they're doing with it because they're certainly not speeding up adjudication. Mm-hmm. That's what happens when you have no management, when you have incompetent management. You don't know how to run a business, you don't know how to run an organization. This is what you get. The same, I was watching the other night. I was watching Star Wars 1, Episode 1, and where Palpatine becomes emperor, and Palpatine convinces Padme, the queen, to call for a note of confidence by saying, "The bureaucrats run everything. Here come the bureaucrats." Palpatine was not wrong about everything. Just because he liked the dark side doesn't mean he was wrong.
Can't say that I've seen it, but I could.
You have not seen?
I have not.
Dude, what? How old are you?
I would like to say that I'm young, but I haven't seen it.
Well, we're going to have a watch-a-thon then if you haven't. I've only watched it like 40 times, so
let's do it.
I'm a Star Wars guy. What can I tell you? So this is now one thing this parole doesn't do, it doesn't forgive people. So it doesn't forgive the permanent bar. So if you left and came back, you're not getting a green card. So your permanent bar is not forgiven. You don't get it if you've got criminal convictions. So all of the standard, and all of that stuff was waived in Plan A, which is why Plan A was so much better. This just basically gives you a temporary legal relief for 10 years. So, which of course gives Congress another 10 years to fix this. Okay. Now, if you came after December 31, 2010, you don't get anything. But that's less than 30%, I think, of the undocumented population. Let's see. The other thing and this is a big deal for many of our clients as well, is that we're going to recover all of the unused green cards, all of them. We get them all back for employment-based and family-based. Now, last year, they wasted about 120. Last couple of years, they wasted about 120,000 green cards, just the last 2 years. Plus, this year they have an extra 130,000. That in and of itself, that's 250. You add the 140, that's 380. Plus, there's probably at least, I'm going to guess, going back to 1992, somewhere in the neighborhood of a couple 100,000. So now you're looking at 500,000 employment-based green cards that will go to the oldest cases. So that means most Indian nationals will get their green cards if this passes. I mean, you don't need to do the whole rigmarole and the gobbledygook about per country limits and stuff. This clears up a massive part of that backlog and then stops visas from being wasted by getting over to families so that it no longer goes back and forth. It also helps Mexicans because it recovers unused family numbers. Now, there's not a lot of unused family numbers, but there's probably 100,000. And all those will go to Mexicans because they have the longest backlog. And that's important, Waleed, because right now, Mexico, in the visa bulletin, and you're too young to remember this, but the visa bulletin is swallowing 245I now. So they got through the first Mexican 245I in 98 and 99, chucked by really quick. And now it's late 2000 when 245I started. That's where the visa bulletin is for Mexico. And there's several 100,000 Mexicans in that 245I bubble.
Wow.
And then once they eat that, then numbers from Mexico will get caught up relatively quickly to the rest of the world. And that's why Mexico's so far backlogged, because the initial backlog for Mexico was spouses and children of amnesty applicants that had to get in line. Then there was the 98 245I, and now there's the 2000, 2001 245I. So that is a really, 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 really big deal as part of this. In fact, I'm looking at the Cato page right now. Let me move it over here so I'm looking at the camera. Our friends at Cato did an analysis on family-based numbers, and it looks like wow, there might be 188,000 family-based unused visas over the course of the last 20 years.
Wow. And
on the employment base, they're estimating 270 plus this year's numbers, which are 280. So that's 550 that they'll be able to get. That's a pretty big deal. I mean, 500,000 that are eligible this year. The other big deal is the recapture of unused diversity visas. Now, the litigation here is really kind of important because, we just appealed the Go case on the numbers. Apparently, other friends who have dollar cases, they're not appealing the numbers. We're appealing the numbers for our clients because we think judge's math is wrong. This is wrong. And honestly, we think he shouldn't have conducted the math at all. We think he's incorrect in discounting numbers because our plaintiffs were the types of plaintiffs that would have taken advantage of the visa. Keep in mind, a big chunk of people never even they get picked, but they never apply. That's why they have so many extra people that they double the numbers, and then a bunch they get interviewed and get denied. So they're always about the right amount of numbers, and the judge discounting that for us means, he screwed over our plaintiffs. So we think we have a pretty decent argument on that, and we'll see what happens on appeal. But we don't have any fear of losing the numbers. So this is already appealing it. There's no reason for us to appeal. But what this does, this would eliminate the lawsuit. The lawsuit would be moot because all unused visas would be recaptured for people denied visas under the euphemistic Muslim ban. So now the thing about this, believe that's a little unclear to me, and I'm looking at the language here that's part of this, is does the language mean that for recapture, the number of visas, blah, 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 if they went unused, but for the diversity folks, they have to have been refused a visa or denied admission or prevented from seeking admission. So that seems to me that they would have had to have been given the visa and then denied boarding, or were denied the visa only because of the ban. So it's not that they're recapturing unused numbers from the DV. They're actually getting people who had numbers who couldn't use them.
Because those people have already been counted, essentially.
The Muslim ban cases. Now, but for the second group, this is the Department of State not doing the application. And so we're looking at, the consul about them recovering all of the unused numbers from 20 and 21, which were somewhere in the neighborhood of 72,000, about 35,000 each year as part of that process. So that's a big deal because I think all of our clients would probably get their case done. Mm-hmm. So those are the three kind of main parts, or really the only parts of the Build Back Better immigration bill. And you would find those in sections, I think it's 602 and 603, maybe 601, 602, and 603 of the Build Back Better bill. which is HR 5376. HR 5376. Now,
isn't there a provision in there, Chuck, about the paying some extra money and bumping up?
Oh yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Actually,
that's a good one too.
So this is the other way that you don't need to worry about the cap. If your I-140 has been approved for 2 years, you can pay an additional $2,500 for a family member and skip the line. So not only do we recapture 500,000 employment-based numbers, but that almost everybody should be able to get out of the line. It's just gone. So the per country cap no longer matters anymore, as long as you want to pay the extra. And really, if you've already paid X thousands of dollars and it's that important to you, you will come up with $2,500 to pay for that. Now, family-based, this is the other big thing, can also get out of the line, but they only have to pay $1,000 extra. That's not a bad thing.
And if you're EB5,
well, then you're paying $15,000 extra, aren't you? Or 50,000.
50.
Some 50,000, some other crazy number like that. Now, the other thing that this bill does that's really important is it creates a tax. There is now a tax on new filings. So over and above the filing fee. So for example, the I-130 family case, $535, $100 tax. So it's now $635. I-140 is $700, $100 tax, $800 tax. So now it's $1,500 for an I-145. This is outrageous, by the way. 526, currently $36.25. That will be 15,000 filings. That's a 400% increase, by the way. Here's something to kicker. The I-94 card, which you don't get anymore, by the way, you have to pay $19 for, which you're not getting. Doesn't even make any sense. Here's something bad. CVIS goes up to $600 from $350. That's personally outrageous. Here's something even more outrageous. You want to replace your green card? $500 tax. $500 tax. So now it's $955 instead of $455. H-1Bs go up to $960. Spouses, H-4s go up to $870. And EADs, this is actually more outrageous. EADs have a $500 tax, and they're now $910. That's outrageous. That's outrageous. And
especially given how long it takes them to adjudicate those EADs. Well, what is it, 12 minutes?
It's outrageous. And they would have to adjudicate these cases. They should be an immediate adjudication. Mm-hmm. There's literally no reason that it's not like a labor condition application. You send it in, 10 days later, it's approved. There's literally no reason this doesn't exist.
Yep.
They can give you an e-card. This is my e-work card. They don't have to publish a card. They can do an e-card. People will accept e-cards. They do it for EBT, right? They do it for food stamps. It's an e-card now. Why can't they do that for an EAD? There's no reason they can't do that. A couple of regulatory changes, boom, boom.
Yep.
But it's outrageous. So there's these new taxes, which, by the way, Cato estimates at $3 billion. They're
going to be rolling in the dough.
That's at least $2.9 billion more than you make a year.
USCIS is going to be rolling in the dough.
$2.9 billion. Now, here's the next question. What is the possibility this bill passes? Well, there's a lot of information out there that when this first came down, I thought I was putting it at 20%, Waleed. 20% chance was going to pass. So over the weekend, one senator's office, and I think it was the dude from Virginia that ran for vice president, can't remember his name. He said, oh, the parliamentarian thinks it's a good idea. And then Durbin just came out and said, we haven't presented it to the parliamentarian. We're going to have formal meetings this week or next to present it to her. So I don't know. If she says no, you can kiss the Build Back Better program goodbye, because Nancy Pelosi will lose 12 Democrats in the House without this part of the bill. She will lose them. They'll be gone unless the Senate overrules the parliamentarian. Now, I read an article today, and I forget where I found it from, but they said, oh, but you can overrule the parliamentarian with 50 votes. That's wrong. This is where there's a big deal about the Senate. So the chair of the Senate, who's hearing, the president of the Senate who's hearing the bill, if that person says, I'm setting aside, I don't agree with the recommendation of the parliamentarian, in order to activate the parliamentarian's decision, you'd have to object to the chair's position, and you need 60 votes to overrule the chair.
Never going to happen.
So they don't have that. So the chair of the Senate, whether that's the vice president or somebody else who's a Democrat, can ram this through. And if they're going to ram this through, they better ram through Plan A and not Plan C. So we'll see. But Build Back Better, I think, hinges on this. If this is not in there, BBB does not pass because the House is going to lose votes.
So in light of the fee increases and all of that, do you think there's more good in here than bad, or with
well, she has to rule that the budgetary impact is more than incidental, and it's $3 billion. All right, if your package is $1.5 trillion, I mean, how can legalizing 10 million people be not have a budgetary impact, and this does?
Yeah.
I mean, frankly, I think the parliamentarians off her rocker and spent way too long at INS as a trial attorney to have an unjaded view of this process. But that's just me. So that's what I want to talk about. I'm going to put the chance though, Waleed, at 40%. Okay. 40. I'm up to 40% on this.
That's the highest I've heard you give so far.
And you know what you should be doing? You should be hiring nobody. You're paying nobody any money. But what you should do, if you are in this group that came before 2011, is you should find the documents to prove that you've been here since January 1, 2011. You know, well, your tax returns, your rent payments, pay stubs, your Facebook posts. You should have all that set aside by year to show that you've been here in the United States. So that's kind of the I probably should have put a banner up about this too as we were talking about it as part of this. But I also want to mention that we are doing some fee litigation, Waleed, where we were trying to hold the Department of State and the USCIS accountable to the money paid to them for which services were never rendered. So if you paid a filing fee for a visa, whether an immigrant or non-immigrant visa, and you didn't get an interview because of COVID, you need to join our litigation because it's free. It costs you nothing. If you applied for a J1 or a student visa and paid the CVIS fee, and you didn't get it because of COVID, you need to join our litigation. What you would do is you would go to this page right here, impactlitigation.com, go to that link, click on that, and sign up. And it doesn't cost you anything. We're doing this on a contingency fee basis. If we win, we collect money from the government, not from you, and you get your money back from the government. They're required to give you money back. It's illegal what they're doing and keeping the money, and we're going to hold them accountable to this. So join us. We need about 40 plaintiffs. It's going to be a class action, so everybody's going to be able to participate, but we do need about 40 plaintiffs to sign on. So you could do that. You'd have my eternal gratitude because we really want to hold the government accountable here. So we talked about the reform, reconciliation, all that stuff. I did want to mention the Go case for just a second. Well, we just talked about that we have appealed it from us. The government appealed first, and it has now been consolidated with the Good Luck case. So all the appeals will be heard together, but our part of the appeal is the judge's decision on numbers. You know, we're going to fight for more numbers for our clients. So there we go. I wanted to talk about that today so everybody had a better idea of what was going to go on and what the options were as part of this process. Well, did I miss anything as we kind of talked about this stuff?
I think that's it. Maybe the new revamped travel ban in the Southern African.
Oh yeah, the Biden ban. The Biden ban.
The new Biden ban.
So Biden bans a couple things. One, we've banned South Africa and 6 of its neighboring countries because they discovered Omicron. That sounds like a villain from a Bond movie.
It sounds.
Omicron is here.
Yeah.
I was going to make a Bond joke, but there are no non-sexist Bond jokes, so I better not do that. Omicron, the latest Bond villain. So they're punishing South Africa for finding it, even though it's all over the freaking world already. So what the problem is, the State Department is running they're running a scam again, denying visa issuance because of the ban. So we do have one person already, I think, interested in suing. If you are interested in suing the U.S. consulate in South Africa and the other 6 countries, reach out to us by email. Go to our website at immigration.net. You can just go, let's see, where's our website? Oh, here. You go to our website and just email me from the website. You can even text from the website that you're interested in suing the consulate to get an appointment, because we'll sue them. There's no need to wait. They're doing it. They said they're doing it. So it's illegal. They've lost this case every single time. Let's just sue them. Heck with them. They want to keep breaking the law. I think we're going to ask for not just fees. I think we're going to ask for bad faith penalties here, because they're acting in bad faith at this point. In bad faith. Let's see. Let's ask some questions now. The other thing is, it looks like Biden is going to change the testing requirements so that if you're vaccinated and coming to the U.S., instead of 3 days beforehand getting a COVID test, you have to get it within 24 hours of getting on the plane. I just came back from Peru about a week ago, and I had to get the COVID test. There are 2. I don't know if you noticed. Maybe you do, Willie, but there's 2 different types of tests.
Oh yeah.
Anymore, but there's the stick it all the way into your brain and swish it around test. And then there's one where they kind of dabble around the back of your nose test. I had the fortune of taking the first test in Peru, and then the woman saying to me, we'll get you these results in 24 hours. And I said, my flight's in 16. Oh, that's a different test.
So you went through all that for nothing, huh?
I'd have a second test, which I did get back in a few hours. So I don't think it's that big a deal. And the problem is, these tests are like $50 to $80 to get on a plane. If you're traveling with a family of 5 people,
that's a lot.
$400 on COVID tests. How is there not a blood test that they take? Wait, can't dogs detect COVID? Why not just put dogs in all the airports? No, I'm just saying. Whatever. In Canada, just so you know, Canada just announced that their travel ban, if you're coming from anywhere other than the United States, you have to self-isolate after you get there. You got to take the COVID test, and then you got to self-isolate for 14 days. So they're back to crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got some questions here. We got Glenn. Glenn, happy holidays. To what extent will the signed bill help either your cases right now? Well, first of all, if you are in EB3 and you got retrogressed, you de facto can pay the $2,500 and immediately get your green card. Now, again, the bill has a 6-month effective date, so it wouldn't be until July, and hopefully they would staff up. They would do this. So basically, you'd have your green card at the end of the year. That's what this bill means to you. You get your green card at the end of the year. And everybody that has a pending adjustment for EB3 can pay the fine. Is it a fine? Is it a tax? What is it?
Extortion fee. Extortion fee.
You're buying your way forward, right? You're buying your green card forward, which is perfectly reasonable. People are here. It's just stupid not to adjust them. It doesn't make any sense. The whole cap doesn't make it. They're already here. Oh, Waleed, you know what they also said the other day? H-1B usage is way down.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
I
wonder why. I wonder why.
Maybe because people got more green cards last year, and you don't need to renew the green cards.
And we've had 3 lotteries for the first time ever.
Yeah, because a lot of fake applications got filed.
Yep.
Duh. This is not rocket science.
We've been saying that the whole time.
It's not like employers aren't filing H-1Bs. It's that H-1Bs, and the reason you had 500,000 H-1Bs, it's not because we give out 500,000 H-1Bs every year. We only give out about 100,000 H-1Bs a year. It's that these H-1Bs are stuck in a line. They can't get their green cards. So they keep having to renew their H-1Bs. You get rid of the line, you're only going to have a couple 100,000 H-1Bs in an economy of 180 million jobs, in which we have 11 million job openings and 6 million people we're like 5 million people short. Use common sense, man. Come on, GOP, wake the freak up. All right, so Glenn, I hope I answered your questions. Says, keep up, you're welcome. Connie, good to see you today. Lily Reyes, can we fly domestically with a Mexican passport after what immigration said about immigration on November 29th? Yes, Lily. You can fly domestically in the United States on a valid Mexican passport, regardless of your immigration status. And I'm going to say domestically within the continental United States. I would not recommend flying to Puerto Rico. You can go to Hawaii, but but do not go to Alaska. Okay, that's just Chuck's advice for the day. Sergio, why do Republicans oppose even Plan C? Waleed, explain why.
Well, they have to win votes. They feel like they have to.
Yet, in a recent poll, only 21% of Americans oppose immigration. That means 79% of Americans favor immigration. So, and about 70% of those favor a straight up legalization program. So they have to get votes. Are these votes that they wouldn't get otherwise?
No, they would get them.
We know what they're afraid of. They're afraid of what happened in Georgia in January last year, when we had a runoff for both Senate seats, and 300,000 Republicans didn't vote. Now, you may recall that Donald Trump told them not to vote.
That's true.
Yeah. So, they're the victim of their own stupidity by following, a veritable moron going forward in their lives. But they're afraid, not that they won't vote for them, that they won't vote. That's what they're afraid of. They won't vote, which is just stupid. Really. Just okay, don't vote. If you think the thing is game, don't vote. Welcome. That makes my vote more powerful. Awesome. I'm going to keep voting. I can promise you. It's obvious someone from 10 years is not leaving anymore. Yeah, I agree, Sergio. That's why Plan C is a joke. These people aren't going home. Look, Trump tried every trick in the book, and he couldn't approach Obama's deportation. He couldn't even come close to Obama's deportation numbers. People aren't leaving. Their lives are here. Their kids are. The kids are growing up. The kids are over 20. They have grandkids here. They are not leaving. This is what's just stupid about this. But Sergio, perhaps you can talk some sense into these folks. I've given up. I just taunt them now. Any solution for let's get to the keep pressing Congress.
Hopefully it happens again sometime down the line.
The reality is if this Plan C is like punting. It's like a continuing resolution. Okay, 10 more years. But we can put off a decision for 10 more years. That's what they're doing. It's a cop-out. It's an absolute cop-out. But for some people, a big chunk of people, it will fix their problem. If Plan C is ever approved, let's be of Dreamers, we're planning to get employment sponsorship. Well, keep in mind, employment sponsorship for Dreamers is possible if you got your DACA before you turned 18 and a half. Because DACA cut off unlawful presence. You have no unlawful presence, which means you can consular process your employment authorization. But getting Plan C, getting parole, doesn't make you adjustable through anything other than immediate relatives. It doesn't make you adjustable through an employer. So if you have DACA after you're 18 and a half, employment sponsorship is not going to help you. Alfredo, good to see you. Eric, good question. Looks like you asked it twice. Okay. Yeah, you will not be able to adjust in the United States under Plan C unless you're married to a U.S. citizen or have a child over the age of 21. Or you yourself are under 21 and your parents are U.S. citizens. When do you expect, you said all the Dems vote for it? Actually, I do. I do expect Wild Joe Manchin to vote for this. He does not want to be the man singularly responsible for destroying the Biden presidency and costing the Democrats, for sure, the Senate in 2021, because that's what his vote against the bill will do. Joe talks a good game, but he's not going to do this. Now, Waleed, do I know that for sure?
Nobody does.
I just don't think that Manchin's going to destroy his friend Joe Manchin's presidency. I mean, they passed this bill. They have a decent chance of keeping the Senate. and an outside chance of keeping the House. All depends on how Democrats use the gerrymander in the states they control. In Maryland, for example, they just gerrymandered all the districts to be all Democrats. Hey, if you can do it in Texas, you can do it anywhere, right?
It's legal.
It's legal, right? That's a terrible decision for the Supreme Court, by the way.
Yeah.
Terrible decision for the Supreme Court. Terrible. Please send them a DV 2020. Nothing's happening. That's what we're saying. Let's see. Sandra Zamora. I have a friend has a deportation warrant from 10 years ago. And a judge granted him a stay with renewal work permit every year. Petition for him. He recently tried to petition for him to stay since he cannot leave the U.S. either. He goes to restaurant business almost 10 years and needs to leave from Pakistan. He read his case. Well, it's Sandra. It's impossible that he reached out to me because he would have called and made an appointment. Okay. If he sent a message randomly on Facebook, yeah, I can't answer every single question on Facebook. So Sandra, what he needs to do is this. He needs to pick up the phone, call for an appointment, because that's how he's going to get legal advice. Call for an appointment today. Waleed's available. I'm available. 10 of our colleagues are available. We can help fix your problems. Most of them, not all of them, that's most of them. So Sandra, have your friend actually pick up the phone and call. Okay. It sounds to me like he is on a stay of removal, is what it sounds like to me. And it sounds like there may be possibilities to reopen his case. Let's see. But it all depends on his case. All right, Mahesh, do you have any information of pending asylum cases in a backlog? Well, this is another disaster. Perhaps no other part of USCIS was quite as affected by Trump as the asylum office. They lost a lot of people who quit. Most asylum officers are people with big hearts and liberal arts degrees. Some lawyers, but not many, do that as well. And Trump was a hard thing for them to stomach. And the orders they were given to basically deny cases they normally would have approved. So they are rebuilding the asylum back. And also keep in mind, Mahesh, there are some lawyers who abused the asylum process, who filed fraudulent applications or applications beyond the 1 year that had no valid basis to be filed just to get a work permit. So right now, depending on which part of the country you're in, because there are 7 asylum officers that circuit ride to all the states, you could be 6 years backlogged on an asylum case or 7 years backlogged. And this is not abnormal. I mean, back in the early 2000s, we had Guatemalans that were 13 years backlogged on cases. So not unusual, but they're supposedly hiring, but they're going to have to hire a couple hundred people in order to get caught up on the
What
case.
do you think, Chuck, about suing on these asylum delays?
We can absolutely sue on asylum delays. So if your case has been pending for 2, 3, 4 years, you absolutely can file a mandamus. And I promise you what's going to happen is you're going to be interviewed. They're going to interview you. So if you want an interview, you have a strong case, then you should call us so that we can go ahead and file a mandamus for you. Call it today. Waleed would love to file that mandamus, by the way.
Love mandamus. It's my favorite thing to do.
Love to do that. All right, Sulav. I don't know what your question marks are about. Oh, or about the DV 2020 case, which we talked about earlier, which is nothing's happening. State is not interviewing anybody. And I assume they're going to appeal it. I don't know. I assume they are. Let's see. We've got Kalita Matt. Considering expired DV 20 people that weren't able to travel, what's next? Well, states refusing to reissue. If the bill passes, they would be able to get reissued. Okay, if that bill passes. And I'm still waiting for a clarification from Judge Mehta on that. So there we go. Bad news for U.S. married to an undocumented with U.S. citizen that has left the U.S. and came back. That's correct, Carolina. This bill does not solve their problem. It will get them a work permit. That's great. Get them a work permit. They'll be legal. They can travel. They just can't, until the permanent bar is deleted from the law, they can't do anything. I already talked. I think the government will appeal Gomez, by the way. Pima Dorji, watching from Australia. Any update on? I just talked about DV 2020. No update at all. is the DACA. Yes. Oh, I remember. Thank you, Maricela. I wanted to talk about DACA. So the comment period ended on Friday, Tuesday, the 30th, whatever the 30th was. Was that Monday? I don't remember. Yeah, it was yesterday, the 29th. Anyway, it's over. So my estimate is that DACA will be back in effect, is my estimate, by March 1. That's my estimate. They have to review the comments, which shouldn't take long, because I can't imagine they had very many comments that were negative. I'm sure they had a lot of comments about why you don't have an later date, why you kept with the 2007 date, but that is what it is. So I do think it will be active again by March 1, is my guess. Pemi Dorji, yeah, there is good news in the Be Back Better bill, the triple B. Go back and take a look at the first part of our show today. What's new about TPS? Yes, you can, instead of filing by mail, you can apply online. It doesn't mean they're going to adjudicate it any faster. And in fact, as I see the website, you still have to mail them documents.
So stupid.
So you can submit a form online, then you get your receipt, then you mail them additional documents. It's a joke. Their system sucks. It doesn't mean you get your decision any faster, and they're still months behind on adjudicating these cases. Rahul, are you taking questions from Twitter? Well, that's a good question. Am I taking questions from Twitter? I don't have any comments on my Twitter feed. By the way, you folks, you guys, Waleed speaks Arabic, right, Waleed?
Naam.
Naam. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
That's all I got, man. That's all I got.
We got to get your Arabic game up a little bit.
Get my Arabic game up.
We got a lot of clients that speak Arabic in here.
Yeah. So Rahul, we would take questions on the Twitter machine, except I don't have any questions from the Twitter machine. So yeah. Even if unused GCs are recaptured, what is stopping? Well, the thing is, they can never be wasted again. They just automatically roll over. Okay. And what stops them from slow walking? That's us. We'll start going to federal court on that issue. So, there you go. And if you pay the money, you will get the card. No federal judge is going to let the government take $5,000 or $10,000 over the normal fees and then sit on it for 6 months. When we know that it only takes, 50 minutes, 45 minutes? No. What does it take? Like 30 minutes to adjudicate an adjustment application? No federal judge is going to let it. Great question, Rahul. I'm covered paid fees for family for H-1B Dropbox in India, but I missed a canceled appointment. Money is stuck. All right. So Rahul, you need to join the litigation. It's free to you. Don't cost you anything. And we're going to get that money back from these people because they're going to make you pay again, by the way. They're going to make you pay again. So join the litigation. We'd love to have you. And again, if you want to join the litigation, this is the link to join the litigation. It says CVIS, but it's for all the fees. And we'd love to have you as part of it. Let's see. DG, if GO is mooted, unlawful delay still exists, is unfair with children age out. That's another piece of litigation, DG. Let's talk about that on a separate day if that comes to pass. Can we protect GO from mootness in the bill passed for Senate? It's really affected by it. I agree. It's all unreasonable delay. And if the Senate passes the bill that reactivates these visas, we will then wait 6 months and then start suing. Okay? Alex Garcia, ¿qué pasa si viajo con advance parole y cierra la frontera? Okay. Primeramente, los Estados Unidos no ha cerrado la frontera a nadie. Okay. Ha prohibido la entrada directamente de ciertos países, pero nunca hemos cerrado la frontera a personas con visas y los con parole. Entonces, Alex, no tienes que preocuparse de eso, no va a pasar. Plus, Omicron es nada, es mejor que Delta, francamente. Entonces, no va a pasar. Rahul, fee litigation, does it cover visa fees only, or no, just visa fees? Sorry, just visa fees. Because we're actually litigating under a federal statute, so we don't get to do incidental fees. Una pregunta, señor abogado. Mi esposo y yo aplicamos para la visa U, ya fuimos a poner las huellas hace 5 meses, pero ¿cuánto tiempo más tengo que esperar? No sé. No han publicado nuevas fechas. La última fecha que sabíamos era de mayo de 2015. Mayo de 2015. Entonces, Si pusiste tu aplicación antes de esto, debe tener los resultados pronto. Si no, ojalá te dan un permiso pronto también. Who appraises Casey's operations that is so difficult to understand? I don't understand that question. I don't think appraise means what he thinks it means. So I don't know the answer to your question. Yeah, Sandra, call and make an appointment for your friend. Dennis Wright. Dennis is back. Can the Senate parliamentarian advise what part of it are going to be included in the bill? Well, she will not. She will not. She is basically a judge, not an advocate. So basically, to keep presenting her stuff until it's like, is this close enough? Is this close enough? Is this close enough? Is this close enough? But there's nothing else they can do. I mean, this is the literally bare minimum that Congress could do to help people. So if this doesn't pass, nothing else will. Now, keep in mind, the parole provision is separate from the recapture provision, and recapture has survived parliamentarians in the past. So just getting rid of parole doesn't mean the recapture goes away. But getting rid of parole means the bill is not going to pass the Senate, so pass the House. If Flint be low, what documents will Doug need to prove they were in the U.S. before? So basically, your tax returns, your rent payments, your pictures on Facebook, because Facebook shows where you are when you post your pictures, or any picture you take, or your phone says where you are, then the metadata, you can always pull that out. You can have bills that you pay, insurance that you have, bank accounts that you have, kids that you have, medical records, dental records. There's an unlimited amount of paper and record that is generated in the United States by somebody, even somebody who's undocumented. Kenny, how about Jacob? Jacob's not our case. You'll have to ask the Jacob lawyers. You're welcome, Emma. Alejandra, good afternoon. Happy holidays. We can say Merry Christmas, can't we? Merry Christmas, everybody. How long are appointments for CEDAW taking? Right now, the spring of 2019, spring to summer of 2019, this is being interviewed. So it's about 2 years. 2 years. If you need an emergency, you can get one. You need to have your lawyer contact the consulate and say the emergency, and they have expedited people. Okay? They have expedited people. So if your lawyer won't do it, then all you got to do is pick up your handy dandy phone and call it. Make an appointment today. We're happy to talk to you about that. Okay. Let's see. Rahul says thank you. Any info about the bird bath meetings? Well, that's not today that I'm aware of. Maybe I missed the memo. Last I saw last night was that it was this week or next week. If it's today, I don't have any info yet. Sergio, any estimate of the plan at sea? We'll know. My estimate is by the 15th. Appraise equal evaluate. All right. So an evaluate. How are evaluated?
I think he's asking why is their procedure so wonky and difficult to understand and things like that. Generally,
because it's all intentional. It's meant to dissuade people from complying with the law. It's meant to confuse people. It's meant to give people denied visas. That's why it exists. It doesn't exist to help people. The government is not here to help you. Okay, that's why lawyers are hired to do this process, because it is so complicated. ¿Qué pasa con DACA? DACA sigue y ojalá será restaurada por el 1 de marzo. La esperanza. I heard Greg Siskin talking about embassies being shady stuff for interview appointments a few days ago. I would never heard Greg Siskin use the word shady, by the way. Regular appointments and agents getting. Is it true? I don't know. I haven't heard that. I don't see. It's all done online. Oh, you know what I think you're referring to? I think you're referring to is some agents have somehow figured out a way to get appointments for people and then sell those appointments. I don't how that's possible in their system. But Greg did talk about that. You're right. But I don't really independently know anything about it. All right, everybody. It's been a great week. I want to thank my colleague here for Waleed's amazing input. Keep in mind, you can call us anytime you like for an appointment. We're here for that. If we can help you in any way, what I want you to be doing is sending your questions, sending your emails, going on, and give us a big like. Follow us on YouTube, give us a like on Twitter, follow us on Twitter, like us on LinkedIn, give us a like, give a thumbs up on the Facebook page. And I'll see you guys next Wednesday. And tomorrow we have Elizabeth at 2 o'clock. And on Friday, my partner Dustin will be live on here doing it in Spanish. We'll see you guys later. Have a great day.
Peace. See you guys.